Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for coming back, and as always, huge massive thank you for the support. I really do appreciate it. And as promised, I'm coming back with this beautiful golden oldies festive fun kit. This one's called a Super Christmas, and we've got our Super Santa here, Grandad, this large topper. It is about 6 inches long. I think this is a really big topper. Yeah, so almost exactly 6 inches long, and I think it's about 5 across, if I remember rightly. 4 and just under 4.5. So, and that's the actual widest frame. Of course, you don't have to use all of the frames. If you wanted to stick with a smaller card, you could just use the beautiful little topper and then use this as a border or some kind of decoration. We've got our grumpy grandpa here out in the snow with his gift. We've got our grumpy grandpa putting up his lights, and then we've got our happy Santa here reading his card. We've got a Have a Super Christmas, love that sentiment, Happy Christmas, now you've fetched your glasses, Merry Christmas, because the writing's really small, that's a bit cheeky, and then Smile, it's Christmas. And then the printed cardstock, we've got our grumpy granddad with the lights. And then the foiled with the beautiful gold foiling in this kit, snowflakes. We've got our Super Santa Grandad there. And I've picked out the inserts in this pack are slightly different to the inserts generally because they've got more generic patterns on. So if you're looking for a set of inserts to cover whatever kit you've got, then the Golden Oldies one is perfect, because as you'll see, they're quite generic patterns. But I picked out this one because of the lights. And I picked out the snowfall because we've got these snowflakes on here. Okay, and we're going to be using those today. So let's pop that to the side. I think we'll go with, let's put that one on the top, I think, for now anyway. Okay, so first card, they're both going to be 6x6 cards, I think, today. And I'm going to start with a piece of 6x12 cardstock, and I'm going to make sort of like a half easel. So that large topper is perfect if you are having a 6x6 card. You know, you really want a kind of step of some kind to have that coming over the top. So I'm going to score at 3 and the halfway point of my card, which is 6. And that's going to help us make our little stepper. Not our step, our easel. So if I bring that over, pop that down, and then that one there as well. And that is going to be our, if I pop that up so you can see the shape of it, that's going to be the easel shape there with that halfway point. Now, the other type of easel card that you can do is that you can take another piece of 6x6. You can glue it onto this half here so that it comes over the top, and you can have like a full easel. But I like these little half easels because you get that sort of air coming through the topper as well. Let me just get that one another so it bends down nicely. So if you're finding that it doesn't, like it, that one was hanging off a little bit, just go over your scores again. Okay, so let's start by bringing in 2 gold 6x6 Miri mats, and I'm going to do a piece for the base first of all, because that's going to be seen as part of the design of our card. We're going to be making that quite pretty, but I still want it to operate as a normal card, so I'm going to be using the insert to decorate that. So I've just taken 2 notches or 1/8 of an inch off 2 of those sides, and that's going to give me that white border all the way around. And then this one, because this is 3x6, I'm going to take 2 notches or 1/8 of an inch off 2 of those sides. So we've got 2 notches under the 3 by 2 notches under the 6, and that's going to fit perfectly on there. That will go into, let's put it on the other side actually, let's put that into my little bit box. And then I'm going to take this piece, I think, It's actually in the snow though, so let's change our mind and go with this other piece. I'm going to start by cutting it to 5 3/4, and then I want a piece for this here, which is going to be 2 3/4. We've still got a decent sized piece there, which is 5 3/4 by 5 1/2. So I could always come in with maybe a piece from there and a little border across to make that into another 6 by 6 card if I wanted to. And then for the insert, I'm going to swap over to my guillotine, because these papers cut better, I find, with an actual guillotine. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the snowflake on, and I'm going to cut this at 5 3/4. And what I'm actually going to do, just while I've got the guillotine here, is just do the same with that other piece, because I am going to need that for that second card. Now these pieces here, you can do like a 5 by 7 cut-in Z fold and use that as the insert on that. It would work. You could even, you know, join them together somehow with a bit of border. I have to be honest, I generally don't use them as much as I should do. But those are our pieces that we're using to start our card. Here then, don't know where that's come from. And the glues I'm going to be using, they're my usual glues. The all-purpose, Cloud all-purpose glue, which is alcohol-based glue. Got my Cloud tacky glue, which is a PVA-based glue. I am going to be using the dotty tape pen, and I am probably going to be using the purple glue stick as well. I tend to use 2 glues on my cards, just generally because I love the all-purpose glue, and if I could use just one glue, it would be the one that I use. But I find you do need to give it a little bit of time to sort of set, so that it's not moving. And I find if I'm making a video like where I want to be moving on, I don't want to be stopping and starting, because you kind of lose the flow of it. So that's why I use another glue in the corners. So on this one, because it's paper, I can't use that all-purpose tacky glue, sorry, because it's got that water content to it, and that will make, or it can make, the paper sort of bubble up as it soaks in. You know what paper's like when it gets wet. But the alcohol glue is fine because there's no water in it, just alcohol, and that evaporates away. I'm going to give that a good press down so that it can be written on and used as a normal insert. So it not only looks gorgeous, and that's a perfect thing about Hunkydory inserts really, is that it's not just a boring piece of paper with a printed or foiled sentiment on, unless you want it to be. I mean, obviously you've got the trim me pads, but you can still even decorate those further if you wanted to. And then we're just going to pop this onto here again, using both those glues, like I say. That's just the way I craft. I'm going to put that around that way with the red to the left. Obviously, if you wanted to separate that a little bit more, what you could do is just have that 2 3/4 in the blue, or maybe just take 2 3/4 with that foiled edge. I've chosen just to have that side piece coming up just for a bit of interest. And then if I grab my set here, I should have said at the beginning really, I bought the bundle. So you get the kit, which has 2 of all of the toppers. So you've got 8 topper sheets, 8 printed sheets, and 8 foiled sheets. And the bundle, you also get the inserts. That's not coming out so nicely. I will trim that with my scissors. The inserts, and you get the picture perfect pad as well, which is gorgeous. And just going to pop him out of here. Hopefully that's going to come out quite nicely. Hopefully I'm going to remember to put it in the description box. Sometimes I do forget, but hopefully I will remember by the time I finish editing and such. Just working our way around and popping him out. So we're not going to be using that middle frame. He is going to be coming over the top like so somehow. And then we do need a sentiment and a stopper. So I'm going to use the big Have a Super Christmas because it does go with him. And it's got the same image on both sides there. And that's going to be a perfect long stopper and sentiment on our card. You can go in with, if you've got the Little Book of Christmas or the Essential Little Book of Christmas, maybe some of the shape sentiments, you could always come in with Merry Christmas, Uncle, Dad, Mom, Granddad, whoever, that sort of thing along the side here. But let's go ahead and pop this on. So I have said before, I have got slightly oversized envelopes, so I am okay to come just over the top, but just be a little bit careful if you haven't. What you can do is just trim away a little bit of gold from the bottom, and that's going to give you about, I think maybe 2 notches just about, and that will sort of bring that down a little bit for you. But what we're going to do, I've just got some 2mm foam pads. Actually, I can just see some pips there. Let's get rid of those. I find these pips that poke out, it's easier to cut them away when you look at the reverse. Oops, sorry. If I can just see where that... So I'm not actually cutting into the frame, I'm just cutting away anything that's sticking out. There we go, and you can use a little nail file, anything like that if you don't want to be brave with your scissors. So I've just got these smaller foam pads, so what I'm going to do is just pop them on, and I only want these to be on this half that I've decorated, otherwise it won't stand up when I'm finished. So if I pop on this, I'm just using that as a guide as to where I can put these pads without them being seen. And I am getting better at remembering that. And sod's law now is that I will forget on the next card, but let's pop those off. And if you've got the strips, obviously that's perfect. The Hunkydory strips are perfect for that. Like I say, I've gone 2mm, but it's up to you. You could go flat, you could go 1mm, you could go higher, 3, 4. It's really dependent on the envelope, I find. But if you're doing 6x6 and you've got a chunky card and you don't want to make an envelope, Hunkydory have the card boxes, and they do them in 2 sizes, the 1/2 inch and the deep ones, which are 1 inch. Okay, so I'm just going to line that up pretty much in the middle. Will come a little over the top, but only just the tiniest little bit. That's going to go there, and then this one is going to go into the middle. So again, I'm going 2mm. So if I pop that in around about where he is going to sit, just pop that one pad there, and I know I don't want to go any higher than that. And we'll pop some on here. Now if you wanted to, you could come in with your Starfall acetate and pop it behind this frame. just for a bit of strength to that. But you can see when it's standing up, it's not flopping. It is quite substantial, and it's going to be protected by the actual card when it's in the envelope. So it's up to you, but I always feel like I like to do that sometimes, put it on the back, but you have to be aware that that may then be seen from the other side. Okay, let's pop that, because it will be stuck onto the back of there basically, so they may see some glue. But if they complain about it, are they really friends? No. But there you go. If you're selling your cards, it might be a consideration. But then saying that, I've never walked into a card shop and looked about. No, I'm lying here, because I have looked to see how things are stuck down. But before I made cards, I never did. So again, with this, there's always, I don't go in, well, actually, to be fair, the last time I went in a card shop was before lockdown. Because when I went to the dentist one time, there was like a card shop there. Harder to spot these days, a lot of them are not doing so well. So again, we're going in with this 2mm. You can go a little higher if you want to. And I am going to pop some tacky glue on the back, and that's just going to give me a little bit of wiggle room time. The purple glue stick is also perfect for this because it makes them really slidey. Now I'm going to pop this, I think around about the halfway point, just below maybe. I'm going to bring in my little ruler, little T-square ruler, just to check where we need to be. Ruler says yay. Doesn't always mean it's right, but that's where we're at the moment. So now we just need a couple of little finishing touches, and I think gold is going to go with all of these colours. So I think let's go with my favourite size. We'll have 2 there, we'll have 1 there, and I'm going to put 1 on each of those corners in there as well. So we'll go with those same size. Oops, turn over, and I'll put them on those corners there as well. Really need to buy some more of that size. Maybe when I do the next order. So I've got this wax tipped pickup tool. This one just came from, I think it came from AliExpress actually. But you can find them Temu, AliExpress, probably find them on Shine. Or Lisa Horton has a nice one, a really nice pearl one. Or she used to at least. So a lot of companies do these. I think some of the American influencers call it a pickup wand. So, but it is like a pickup tool, gem pickup tool. So then that is going to be my finished first card. So let's just bring that down so that we can bring that in. So you can see it's not too difficult. It's just simple mat and layering on this. It will fold down flat for postage. I will keep it upright just while that glues. But that's card number 1. And I'm just going to get set up for card number 2. Okay, so for card number 2, I've got another piece of 6x12 300 GSM white cardstock. And I'm going to bring in my trimmer. And I'm going to pop this up to the 1 inch mark. So my cut blade will come down the middle here. Well, not down the middle, but 1 inch in. And what I'm going to do is cut to the 5 inch mark. Okay. And then I'm going to turn that around. I'm going to put that up to the 1 inch mark again. And again, I'm going to cut from the 5 inch all the way up. So now it's going to look a little bit like this. And then I think what I will do is just come in with my trimmer, not my trimmer, my scoreboard. And just to help me out here a bit, I'm going to put that 6 inch score in. just going to help me with the diagonal in this case. Should have done that first of all. And then what I'm going to do is just line up the point and the point up there. And then I can just cut in to where the blade meets that cut line. You can see it comes away. And again, up here, just cut down. Because it's white cardstock, you should be able to just see. There we go. And then we're going to end up with a fancy fold card like so. So let me just give that a little burnish down. And I love this, it always looks like you've done a lot of work on this one. So I'm going to bring in some gold mirror card again. I'm going to have to decorate bits more of it because I'm going to decorate the back. The back is going to be seen. So that is 6 by 6. So let's just take 2 notches or 1/8 of an inch off that. And we already cut the back, which was that 5 3/4 by 5 3/4, and that's going to go on the inside, so you can see how that is coming together already. Now this piece here, what I'm going to do is cut that to 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. Oops. And then I'm going to cut that diagonally down the middle. I just find on these triangular pieces, if you just go those extra 2 notches, you do get the better fit on those diagonals. And now I want a piece for here in the gold. Now I'm pretty sure I haven't got, oh, what's this? Let's have a look. What's this? So this needs to be 2 notches under the 4. So this has just come out of my bit box. So 2 notches under the 4 by 2 notches under the 4. That can go back in the bit box actually, that's a nice size. So that's going to be the piece that goes on there. Now for this piece here, rather than waste, well it's not a waste, but rather than cut into my cardstock, because I've got the bundle, I have got this Picture Perfect Golden Oldies Festive Fun pad. And I'm going to bring in this one with snowflakes, I think. That's going to contrast nicely with that blue at the back. If you haven't, then you've always got your duo design pads. You could use one of your inserts instead. You know, there's loads of options there. And then this one we need to cut at 5.5 square because we're going to cut it into across the diagonal again. So a lot of this is going to be hidden. That's why I don't really want to cut into the cardstock for that. It's just going to make my whole card making go that bit further. And then that should fit onto there quite nicely with that little border going round. So that will go back into my pad. And then for the square piece, I'm going to come back to this piece here. I am going to take an inch off the top, so that can be a border somewhere. So again, that's going to stay with the kit, and we need to go to 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. So again, these pieces will go back into the kit until I'm absolutely finished with it, because you never know when you might just want a little flag or something. And that's going to go on to the front there. So we've got all those blues coming in. So let's do some gluing down. Had a little panic moment then because my screen had disappeared, but it's still here, it says. So again, just coming back to these normal glues. Add in. And there. And I don't know if, so I'm just going to go exactly the same as I did before, matting and layering these down. On the papers, I'm going to use that dotty tape pen. I may have to replace it if it runs out. But the same glues on the cardstock, so I'm just going to do that all the way around. I don't know if you saw, but Hunkydory have made an announcement of, I think it's somebody new coming. Now, general consensus and my consensus, my opinion is that that's going to be Craig. I can't remember his last name. Craig used to be on the design team of Hunkydory many years ago, actually, because I mean Crafter's Companion has been running for has been doing online things for about 6 years. I think they've got the 6th anniversary coming up, so he's at least, I think he's been with them from pretty much the start. And if you've got any old Hunkydory magazines, I know I've got some from the early days, and there are pictures of Craig in there, little Scottish fellow, and I think he comes from Carnoustie. If you've ever watched Crafter's Companion TV, Crafters TV I think they call it, you will have seen him. I think it's going to be him because he stepped away from there a little while ago and nothing's been heard of him since. Now there is that new channel opening, the hobby craft one. It's going to be so confusing. Hobby craft and hobby maker now coming. So I had thought when that was announced that maybe it was there, but initially I suspected that he would go to Hunkydory because he's always professed love for it. So these I'm just going to raise on some 1mm foam pads, and let's use these ones. So yeah, I kind of thought he might go back there, especially with Natalie being on maternity leave soon. But so my money, if I had to lay odds, it would be that he is going to go there. I can't think of any other crafty men, because obviously Phil Martin has his own thing. Could be wrong, could be somebody else, but I know there were some people online saying they didn't want to see him go there and this, that and the other, because I mean he does, when he was on Crafters TV, sometimes he used to get a bit giddy with, giddy's my mum's word, when he was with Ben, because they used to mess about a bit. Ben Mosby was the presenter over there, or one of the presenters, and so sometimes he used to get a bit giddy, but I think Hunkydory is totally different anyway, so I think he'll be a good fit. I really do. So I'm looking forward to it if it is him. If not, it's bound to be somebody brilliant. I mean, look what happened when Rebecca went off. We got Amy, and how good is she? I mean, honestly, one of the best crafters I think on TV at the moment, Amy. And you know, in terms of what she keeps bringing. So we've got this small topper. This is the little one with the Santa and his list. So I'm not sure if I want all of these layers, or maybe we should do a bit of this. And then we've got that topper with the small writing. Let me just grab that off the side here, rather than dragging it all out, because I've just put the pad on top of it. So that can go at the top there, and then a couple of gems. Or shall we just do, I think that kind of gets a bit lost there, to be honest. Let me grab some parchment, which I should have a piece Okay, so I've just got this little offcut here. Let's see, I'm thinking of putting it on this red one. So it would have to be that way if we were going to do it, or we could just pop it under there. And then pop him in. Thinking I kind of like... Yeah, I'm going to go with the red one. So let's use our dotty tape pen. Now, have I got... Let's grab this little piece of white card. Just going to pop that all over. You can use your tape pens and things, red liner tape and things like that. Let's put that right up to that edge. And knife. There we go. Let's start just by cutting that piece off. Back where I can find that. I have got a whole pack of 10 sheets of this somewhere. And I suspect I've buried it at the top with my snowfall acetate and things. So I'm just going around the frame, just cutting the edges off. Just get that, and there is just a slightly rough edge there. Let's get rid of that. Okay, let's try this again. Again, I can see the pips there, so I can just adjust those. You could use acetate there because it's not going to be seen. Yeah, that's better. It just calms that down just a little bit. And sort of vellum or parchment is perfect to have on hand when you want to just calm a bit of, when your colours are clashing just a little bit too much, because I mean we've got red, blue, green, dark blue, light blue. You know, we've got a lot of different colours here. Okay, so this one I'm just going to pop some tacky glue on. We'll go nice and flat. And that's just going to go in the centre of there. Make sure I'm happy with that. I think that's good. And then this one, I am going to go, am I going to go flat again? I'm not. I'm going to go 1mm, or yeah, I think this is about 1mm. Now I do have to be super careful because this frame is very, very thin, and it will see through. You will see through the vellum. So what I'm going to do is just pop this on these corners. So I've just cut into these Hunkydory ones, and pop them on. And it's just going to work my way around. And if I cut one in half, we just have a bit of support there, a bit of support there. And put another little bit of support. I'll take the back off at least. And there. Now because this is going to go over the centre of it, I'm going to be fine to put a foam pad in the middle. So let me just grab a decent size piece of this. It'll be too big to use as a whole one, but then that should be fine You can see we can't see anything on there, which is what we want. So let's get all of these backs off. And I will use tacky glue just on these edges, just to give me that wiggle room time that I like. So yeah, just going back to their announcement, you'll have to let me know who you think it is, whether you are, if you think it is Craig, whether you're happy about that. I don't think it'll be Dean. Dean is more a presenter than a crafter, although I believe from memory he's quite talented at woodwork and furniture restorations, because I'm sure he does that in his spare time. That could be me making it up, but I'm sure I've heard him say, or pictures on Create and Craft back in the day. So just popping that in the middle, and then this one we're going to go with that 2mm. So we're about 3mm high, so I'm okay with my envelope, but just be aware that he's going to fill an envelope quite quickly with that height on. There's that one. I can't think of any other men in the industry that don't have their own products. Like Jamie has his own thing, Phil has his own thing, and it definitely looks like a male shape. Okay, so then we're just going to pop this in the middle. Doesn't matter if any foam pads are coming over, because it's not going to stick to anything, it's not going to be seen. But that is how we are looking at the moment. Now we do need our sentiment, so let's fill in that corner there. Again, you could be coming in with a shaped sentiment, or you could bring in a shaped sentiment down the bottom. We'll use the purple glue stick, because I did say I'd use it today, and it is like my favourite thing. So this is the Now You Fetched Your Glasses Merry Christmas. Perfect for somebody who, like me, is a bit blind. Just squeeze that into place. And then lastly, obviously not leastly, we are going to go with some gems. I think we will go with maybe just 3. Maybe that's bigger. Let's go that one, that one, that one. So graduate downwards a little bit. Yeah. And then you could come in with a little diagonal, depending on whether you're putting a sentiment there, an additional sort of grandad or whatever. And this sort of card is perfect if you're taking to a fair and you want to take those pads so that you can personalise. Because that is a perfect space here for any kind of personalisation. There we go, all you need is a couple of foam pads. But that is going to be my finished second card, that like cutaway. It's what I call a posh cutaway card, because you've got that sort of diagonal finish to it. And there is a slightly different version to this where you do the cutting up to here, you don't cut all the way through, and you score here and then fold that over. But I don't like that. I think it looks a bit messy to my eye anyway. But that, if I put those gems back where I have found it, and obviously you could put a trim me insert in here. It's a nice easy shape to do, or you can just leave it. You could even stamp a Merry Christmas in there if you wanted to. But that's card number 2. And if I bring in card number 1, which is our little half easel. Now I have used up quite a bit on this one, so we've got these little bits left. Like I said, that's going to go into our bit box. I'll just put that gold triangle into my pack there. In terms of the toppers, we've got two. We've got Grumpy Man with his present and his little he's wearing the t-shirt with him on. Happy Christmas, and the one with the lights, Smile It's Christmas. We've got the rest of our foiled cardstock, only this is no longer foiled. And then we've got the whole of that printed cardstock left over to play with. Now I am going to be a bit slow making up the extras on this kit because I have got a DT assignment, and you'll be really pleased to know I'm not supposed to tell you anything about it, but all I'm going to say is it's not Christmas, so we are going to be moving away from Christmas with Hunkydory, and I know their birthday week's coming up, so I don't know if this is part of that or not. But it is it's nice to be moving on. That's all I'm going to say about it. So I'm not going to have the time to make up the spare bits until I have completed that. So I will do it. I just won't be doing it straight away like I have done with the last kit. But that's it for me today. Hopefully you're having a great weekend. What's left of it, it's probably going to be pretty much over by the time this video goes up. But I will see you next week. Just a reminder that it's bank holiday week for us here in the UK. So there's not going to be a Hunkydory tomorrow, Monday. But after that we'll all be back to normal. But thanks for watching, and until next time, happy crafting. Bye.